What are you doing? I'm getting you more protein. By putting protein powder in your chocolate bar? This is gonna be nasty. Well, I'm struggling to get more protein. It's the only way. No, it's not. There are other ways to add more protein. Like this? No. Like this? Stop. Have you thought about just adding an ounce more chicken to your chicken at dinner? No. I can handle this. It's so good. Increasing your protein doesn't have to be this disgusting or hard. Little changes and shifts to how you plan your meals can really pay off. It takes you pausing to assess what you're currently doing and then being open to looking at your meals in a different way. That's why I want to share 5 strategies so you can avoid common protein mistakes like these. So let's start with what I already mentioned. Increasing your current protein portions by just an ounce. Too often, we try to find new ways to add in protein instead of just tweaking what we're already naturally doing, which honestly just makes things feel more overwhelming and confusing. So instead of trying to search for something new or a bigger change, just take a current protein source you're consuming and add an ounce. If you usually have 3 ounces of chicken at lunch, make it 4. Small increases to the protein sources you're already eating can help you keep your meals and prep basically the same while helping you slowly increase your protein intake. No big dramatic changes, no having to think of new options. Now, if starting to adjust your portions and you're finding that your fat intake is way too high or you can't keep your calories in check, this is where you can start to divide and conquer. Often when a protein source is higher in fat or carbs, we think we just have to cut out something we enjoy. Instead, we need to divide and conquer, which means we can simply combine 2 different options and protein sources with different macros to hit our goals. Love steak, but finding it's killing your macros while leaving you low in protein? Try a surf and turf dish, so you can have your steak, but lower your fat by including another protein source you love that's lower in fat. Sometimes swapping for a completely different cut or type of protein isn't enjoyable, but the combination of 2 sources is what we love. To get that 6 ounces of protein you want in a meal, you could do 3 of 2 different types. This can also help you avoid feeling like you're just having to power through a bazillion ounces of protein as well at a meal. Because another common mistake we make is just forcing ourselves to power through protein portions that simply aren't enjoyable. While a new and better result does mean embracing change, and often that does include making some sacrifices, if we feel like we're constantly force-feeding ourselves something, chances are we won't keep doing it for long. We can avoid this protein overload not only by dividing and conquering with different protein sources, but even further hiding the protein in our meals. How can you hide protein? Using dishes that allow you to diversify. By diversifying your protein sources in a dish and not making yourself feel like you just have to eat more, you can often pack in more protein. Soups, smoothies, oatmeal parfaits, casseroles, even omelets make this task easier, because it's easier to combine a variety of protein sources so the dishes pack a punch. Try bone broth as the base for your soup with chicken and tofu and add veggies, because you can get around 10 more grams of protein per cup. Combine Greek yogurt with a protein powder in your smoothie or even in your oats to add almost 30 grams more while being easy to take on the go. Even blend in tofu to your smoothie to add more protein while making it extra creamy, especially if you don't consume dairy. For your casseroles, bump the protein and cheesiness by adding in cottage cheese on top of your usual proteins. And even swap traditional pastas for edamame or lentil variations. And in your omelets, not only use eggs and egg whites to hit your fat and protein macros, but add in ground protein sources like turkey or ground beef to bump your protein intake further without getting bored of the same flavor. But by diversifying your ingredients, it can make for tasty meals that just don't make you feel like you're force-feeding yourself protein. And then don't make the mistake of ignoring the boost you can get from so many non-traditional sources of protein. So often, we only focus on the amino acids we can get from complete protein sources. But there are amino acids in so many of the foods we eat combined over the course of the day that can really add up. This can make increasing our protein intake feel so much less daunting. And by embracing this diversity, we can also get a great micronutrient boost. So don't ignore the grams. Small swaps like buckwheat noodles for our regular white pasta can bump our protein intake. Or peas with broccoli in our stir fry help us bump those protein grams and improve our macros. Nutritional yeast and Parmesan cheese are great little ways to add boosted flavor while adding protein even. I stole this from my dietitian Michelle, but she calls them protein sprinkles. And I love calling Parmesan protein salt. Nutritional yeast is not only a great seasoning for your protein source you're already cooking that day, but it can even be sprinkled on your popcorn as a snack. Yup, it's a great way to make your popcorn taste cheesy and add a protein boost to a snack that's normally devoid of protein, and not in that gross put protein powder on your peanut butter cups way. You can even do this by pairing something you want with something you need. Instead of putting protein into something that it doesn't work in, consider it on the side to your usual snack or treat. Try jerky with your crackers, or some natural deli meat on a snack plate with your apple and peanut butter. But consider small ways to make those grams really add up. This can help us include the foods we love and not feel like we're eating bland and boring foods. And then stop seeing increasing your protein as having to be, well, bland and boring diet food. We often make the mistake of being lazy with the changes and defaulting into not trying to make the meals taste good. It's almost like we get this attitude of, well, it's a diet, it's not supposed to be enjoyable. But that holds us back from building lasting habit changes or even developing a good relationship with our food. Make an extra effort to make your protein delicious through sauces and spices and seasonings. Seasonings and spices can really make a huge impact, and they come at basically no calorie cost. Then even look for sauces that are flavor-filled, but lower in calories to start. Consider things like soy sauce or tamari for some extra flavor while being low in calories. Or use salsas even in place of other salad dressings. Even consider making some of your own dips or dressings out of Greek yogurt and seasonings. It's a great way to even make some ranch variations while boosting your protein a bit, hiding that protein in your sauce. But don't shy away from finding some recipes that use seasonings to their advantage. And while I know it's easy to get overwhelmed by the idea of making changes and default into what seems easy, but actually makes the process harder, you don't have to fall into doing things that just aren't sustainable and make you miserable. Increasing your protein doesn't have to mean destroying dishes and snacks you love. Avoid making these protein mistakes and start building meals you love that help you hit your macro goals.